Welcome everyone. Good evening, and it's a pleasure to see so many people joining, and I'm sure more will join. So I'm going to share my screen and let's get started. All right. So, my quick journey, I started my first inkling towards AI about 20 years ago when somebody told me that AI is really a field where the brain is thinking about how the brain works. And that got me very excited that this is going to really change the future of mankind. And, I took a plunge and did a PhD 20 years ago in the field. And luckily, still we are in the same field. AI has taken over, it has transformed many industries, and now it is ready to transform countries. And today we are going to talk about this whole idea of Bharat with AI. And I want to first talk a little bit about the word reimagine, right? I use the word reimagine deliberately. Um, I don't use the word change, transform, disrupt. I use the word reimagine. And it's a very special word because what it means really to me is that if you were to imagine the country, India, or if you were to imagine healthcare or education or agriculture or cities in the post AI world, how would you have done it differently? And this is a new skill that we are looking at. In the future of India is going to be based on our youth's ability to reimagine the future with the technologies that are today available to you, right? And unfortunately, when we make incremental progress in these fields, we are not reimagining those verticals. We are just doing small incremental changes, right? So that is an important aspect to think about. What does it mean to reimagine and not just to think about disruption? Yeah. Now, as I look at the industry over the last 20 years, right, we have grown, whether it is companies, whether it is countries, we have grown very data rich in the last so many years, right? We have data across all dimensions, all fields. We have healthcare data, we have agriculture data, we have manufacturing data, we have telecom data. As a country, we are a very rich, data rich country. And now with the push from the top, the Prime Minister's push on AI, push from the bottom, the colleges are churning out data scientists, and push from startups, push from industries, push from government, from every area. We are now seeing a new kind of a transformation that is going on in India, which is the new India that is emerging. And we have seen what happened in Operation Sindoor, and we are going to see many unicorns have come in India, and yet we are still not a top country in the AI space, and we need to get there, right? So this is also about how do we get there, right? And we want to understand that we may have AI strategies at the top, but how do we create a culture of AI? How do we create a platform for AI or multiple platforms for AI? And that's what everybody is excited about, right? The India AI mission is there, Sarvam AI is there. There are many, educational institutions, government institutions, Niti Aayog. Everybody is working in that direction. And this is a great opportunity to kind of get into this field and see what we can do. So that is the second aspect we'll talk about. How do you think about AI as not just as a strategy, but as a platform? And then one of the things I have learned over the last 20 years is that when we think about anything in terms of use cases, right? What are the use cases of AI in healthcare? What are the use cases of AI in agriculture or whatever field? We don't think about the operating system we need. We just think about the use cases. And that is also something we'll transition from and see how we not just think about use cases, but think about the operating system and develop that kind of a mindset, right? So this talk is also about use cases, but also about the operating system mindset that we need to develop. And, recently you saw Prime Minister was at this AI Action Summit, and there was a very interesting thing he said, which took me a lot of time to understand what he's trying to say. And he said AI is writing the code for humanity in this century. In this century, AI is writing the code for humanity. In the previous century, steam engine were writing the code for humanity, right? The internet as it came, that networking was writing the code for humanity, right? Electricity was writing the code for humanity. And, AI is now writing the code for humanity. And this is what we need to understand, that in the last 5 industrial revolutions, every time the next revolution happened, mankind moved to the next level. And now we are in the midst of an AI revolution, and that is what is writing the code for humanity. And, this is a great time to learn and contribute in this area, right? So let's talk a little bit about AI, because this is a very confusing subject. Everybody you talk to, right? Any blog you read, every course you take, every book you read, every news article that comes out, every announcement that happens in OpenAI or Google, um, we kind of develop our own idea of what is AI, right? And so let me first talk a little bit about that, so we are all on the same page. And, intelligence is a very simple construct. It's not something that is out there. We're not talking about a black hole or a superconductor or something out there. We are talking about ourselves, really. And if I think about what is intelligence, I can break it down into very simple building blocks, right? So the first building block is the ability to learn. And we learn all the time. We learn languages, we learn art, we learn music, right? We learn gymnastics, we learn how to do coding, all of that, right? So learning is an inherent part of who we are as an intelligent species. And it takes a child to learn. And by the time you are 18 years, you finish your 12th grade, and 21, 22, you finish your bachelor's. So it's a learning process. It takes us 20 years to learn something and become useful for society. So we'll talk about what is learning from an AI perspective. Then understanding is another skill we develop, right? We understand languages, our mother tongue, we understand English, we understand, images and videos, we understand gene sequences. The cardiac surgeon understands the ECG, the radiologist understands the X-ray. So understanding is another skill that we have to think about, which we have developed, right? The third skill in intelligence is what we call the ability to think. So when you're playing a game of chess or crossing a road, or planning your career, or having a conversation towards an end game, it's all a thinking process. So we need to see what thinking is, and that's a very important skill, highly underutilized. After the Gen AI wave is over, everybody is normalized, then we'll go back to thinking, because thinking is a more important skill in AI than generation. And the fourth skill in AI, fourth capability that we have, is the creativity. And that's what the current Gen AI revolution is about. We are able to music, text, code, everything. And really, this is a pivotal moment, because now, after we have mastered the art of creativity, we have now finally completed the AI loop. Because if we only understand documents but not create documents, if we can read code but not write code, if we can see but not draw, if we can listen to music but not create music, we are an incomplete intelligence. So creativity, why is that so important? Is because now AI is complete. We can do all four things that an intelligent system should be able to do. Now, where we are heading in the next few years, maybe a decade or so, is a very interesting phase in the evolution of AI, which is called sentience, right? And all of us have gone through that. As we grow, we learned, we understood, we learned the art of thinking and creativity. And at some point, a switch turned and we became sentient. And we said, why should I do this, right? Who am I? What is my purpose? And now imagine if human race is the parent and AI is the child, because humanity is a parent in the sense that we have nurtured AI in many ways. We have created the data that it is using. We have created the hardware and the GPUs it is using. We have created the learning algorithms that it is using, and we have created the cloud infrastructure, the energy, all that. So in a sense, human race is a parent, and like every parent, we are very interesting. It's an interesting time for a parent to see that the child has grown to a certain level, right? And sentient is a very interesting age, the teenage, if you will, where, we can go anywhere in any direction. So there's a very interesting time. We want to see where AI will take humanity as a next step, and all possibilities are on the table. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about each of these so we are all on the same page. So what is learning? So if I show you this image, we'll understand that, oh, this is a letter A, and obviously you've never seen these A's before, and still you are able to say that this is A. And what it shows is that we are not a memorization system. We don't remember all the A's we have ever seen. We are not doing a database match between all the A's we have seen and these images. We have built a model for what is an A, what is a cat, what is a car, what is a flag. So we have a model for everything. And now, as soon as we see something, that information goes to all the millions of models in our brain, and one of them says this is an A, and all the others are silent. And that is the power of human brain, that we are able to generalize and not necessarily memorize everything. So we are a generalization system, and that is what learning is, right? In education system, we give you a new question paper in the exam, not the one that you have already seen. Why? Because we want to test your ability to generalize, right? So generalization is a part of who we are. The second skill in AI is what we call understanding, right? So if I show you two lines, but now suddenly the meaning of the line has changed because the context is there, right? So the content, which is the original line, has no meaning by itself. But when we put it in a context, suddenly it has a meaning, right? And that's the beauty of uh, our brain, that it can reconcile the part and the whole, right? Similarly, in the text world, if I say I was right to avoid a suit against apple, or man in suit on my right was drinking apple juice, 20 years ago, if we were doing Google search and we were matching tokens like this, it would say these sentences are similar. But what has happened in the last 20 years with embeddings and understanding of language and all of that, we now can tell what is the sense of this word, what is the sense of this word. And our brain is a reconciliation engine. We reconcile the pixel with the object, with the picture, and back, and keep doing up and down. Similarly, the words and the sentences and back. And that is what understanding is. And this is the foundation of all computer vision, speech processing, and language understanding systems that we have built, right? And same thing is true for ECG and COVID variants and all of that. Yeah. The next most important skill in AI, according to me, is the thinking ability. And if you think about thinking, what is it? If you're solving a multi-step task like Google Maps, you have a start state. The state is a GPS. Then you have an end state where you want to be, and then you have a current state which says this is where you are. And now, what is Google Maps doing? It is saying, based on the current state, what are your feasible actions? Can you go straight, left, right? What are your feasible actions? And among the feasible actions, which is the optimal action? So this framework of, state thinking, feasible action given state, optimal action, and transitioning to the next state and repeating. This framework is a thinking paradigm, right? And we can apply this framework anywhere. All we have to think about is what is the state, feasible actions, and optimal action. So one more example, if you will. What is the state in a game? So you're playing tic-tac-toe. So there is a current state of the game. It doesn't matter how you reached here. The fact that you're here is what is important. And now our brain is saying, what are my possible feasible actions? Can I do this? Can I do that? And among them, after playing many games, we learn how to pick the optimal action. And now we go to the next state of the game, right? And this is again the same thing. Now, why am I talking about thinking? Is because thinking is very, very universal phenomena, right? If I think about crossing a road, that is also thinking. You have a current state of the traffic, you're observing the cars are coming. your brain is telling you what are my feasible actions. I can walk, I can run, I can stop. Among them, I have to pick the optimal action, right? Similarly, when you're building your career, you have a state of where you are in your career paths. And now you have options, right? You can do an MBA, you can do a research, you can join a startup, you can take a Coursera course. So you have a bunch of feasible actions and you decide what is your optimal action. So building a career, raising a child, having a conversation, crossing a road, thinking about healthcare, for example, right? If I look at the state of the health of a person, we can actually come up with a state notion, right? Your cardiac health, your gastric health, your whatever health. And based on the state, we can decide what are the best actions, right? Similarly, in agriculture, we can think about the state of the crop, right? Is it suffering from pest problem or water problem or nutrition problem? What is the state? What are the options, right? What are the feasible actions? You can do fertilizer, irrigation, and all that. And then what is the optimal action today, given everything else, right? So this is a very important way of thinking. And, it's a very important paradigm that is going to take us forward in the AI. Finally, creativity. We are all starting to use ChatGPT now, I hope, for whatever reasons, right? So you may be a programmer and you're learning vibe coding. You may be a musician, you're trying to create songs and music. You might be a painter trying to do this. You are a marketing guy who is using GenAI to create marketing content. So it has become a norm now to be able to use these. Just to show you an example, this is ChatGPT 3. First line of a story, I was going walking in an empty parking lot. Last line of a story, I safely returned home. And if you ask ChatGPT to create a story, this is what it created. I saw a suspicious man, turn around, man started running after me. I ran as fast as I could, man couldn't catch me, I safely returned home. And this is the beauty of what GenAI is able to do. It is able to mimic what a human child would have done by imagining a story like this. Now, the question that we are all asking is this how humans learn the meaning of, humans learn the meaning of things like parking lot or a suspicious man in a very different way, right? We experience what is a parking lot, and therefore we know what is a parking lot, right? We experience this idea of running as fast as I could. The AI has not yet experienced anything, right? The GenAI systems, the large language models and all that, they are just predicting the next squiggly token, given the last squiggly tokens. They don't understand the world the way humans do. So this is the now, we have created a fantastic system, which is very brute force, which is very time consuming, very energy consuming, compute consuming, data consuming, and it does a fantastic job. But humans don't do it that way. That doesn't mean this is wrong, but humans actually understand the world and then create a story. And this guy is doing next probability prediction, right, of the next token. So we still have a long way to go. LLMs that we see today and what we are going to see in the next 5 years will be very different, right? The idea will be the same, but the approach will be very different. And this is the first version. So intelligence as we talk about. So now we understand that intelligence is nothing but these 4 or 5 building blocks, right? Ability to learn, understand, think, and create. And using these 5 capabilities, 4 capabilities, we can now create amazing products and solutions, right? And now let's switch gear and let's talk about the evolution of products themselves, right? Where are we going on the world of the products? So if I look at the first generation products, they are all physical products, right? You can buy them, they get delivered, you can pick them up, you can use them, touch them, feel them, they have a weight, they have a height, all of that, right? So these are all products as we see products in the first generation products. Then in the last 20 years, we have seen the rise of what we call purely digital products. There is no physical manifestation. These are all digital products. We just log in, we do our stuff, we get out. There's nothing physical about it. right? We don't download, we don't install, they just are there, right? And now we are heading towards what we call the phygital products or the hybrid products. And these products are far more useful and important because now they have a digital component and a physical component, right? So you can book a cab on an app, but that alone is not enough. A physical cab has to come and take you places, and that is what a complete experience looks like, right? Amazon, you can search a product, uh, buy a product, pay for it, write a review, read a review, all that, but the physical product has to come to you. So it's a digital physical experience. And now banking is becoming digital physical. And as India moves, right, you have seen the payments have become digital payments. And suddenly that has transformed the country in a very interesting way, right? So digital banking and all that has evolved. Education is going to become more digital physical. We'll talk about that. Healthcare will become more digital physical. Today, we think of digital physical health as, talking to a doctor on a telemedicine app or, WhatsApping x-rays and all that, or ordering medicines online. So we have started to see the digital physical notion of healthcare, and same thing in manufacturing. Let me reimagine manufacturing and retail for you. And this is what I mean by reimagine, right? So imagine today how, if you have to buy a chair, what do? You go find it on a website, do a search, go to IKEA, shop for, try this, try that. But what is the future of retail and manufacturing is? Now imagine that instead of searching for a chair, you are designing a chair, right? So you go to GenAI and say, hey, I am looking for a chair. This is my height, weight. I work 20 hours a day. I need something like this, ergonomics and all that. And now, instead of pressing a buy button, because there is no chair that existed like this, GenAI has designed a perfect chair for you. And now you say print. And now the 3D printer and whatever is going to print that and get it delivered. So this is what I mean by reimagining. The carpenters of today cannot reimagine the new way of building a chair, designing a chair. And that is the key to the transformation of the country. We need people who can reimagine with new technologies like this, right? Every ecosystem. And we'll see examples of that. If I think about what makes a great product, right, it has to scale at a planet level. Google search does 8 billion queries a day. Netflix can do so many. Recently, IPL game happened and we saw 66 crore. 66 crore is twice the US population. Twice the US population is the number of people who watched the game of cricket, the finals, and it was streamed live across, right? That is infrastructure, right? So how do we build that kind of an infrastructure? Second is interface. Interfaces are going to evolve. We are used to of very, gory and text, very intensive interfaces. But if I look at the journey of Siri, Alexa, and voice-based interfaces will become more and more natural and all that. Then intelligence of the products will evolve, right? We have seen how Google search has evolved, how ChatGPT and all that is growing, how Ola, Uber are becoming better over time, how every product is becoming better over time. And they have mastered the art of collecting data and improving. And that is what AI first companies do. They build these kind of systems, right? Then we are seeing a resurgence of instantaneousness, right? The 10-minute delivery, quick commerce, all of that, immediate Netflix watching, immediate search engine results, 30-minute pizza delivery. So we are in that world, right? 5 minutes, Ola, Uber has to come, all that, right? And finally, we'll talk about what is missing in all this is a sense of integratedness, right? And if I look at what a farmer has to do today, he has to go to one app to check the weather, another app to get advisory, another app to buy the fertilizer, another app to rent a tractor, another app to sell them a product on Monday and all that. So his life is not integrated. It is very disintegrated. On the other hand, if you look at airline industry, it is highly integrated, right? You can book a ticket on any of the apps. You can go to the airport, Digi and all that. The food comes to the plane, the fueling is happening. Everything seems very integrated. in the world of airline industry, but not in the agriculture industry. So there is something going on there that we have to think about. Yeah. So from an AI perspective, the products are evolving, right? We started with what we call programmed intelligence products. They are running on an if then else statement. They don't improve over time. They improve only in the next generation of the product, right? Next version of the car, but not this year, right? That car will remain the same. Then last 20 years, we have seen the rise of what we call digital products that are powered by crowd intelligence. So if people don't use these products, people don't like or consume or click or watch or give reviews, we will not know whether these companies are doing a good job of a search engine or a YouTube recommendation. And only because, billions of people using these products are continuously giving feedback, right? I like the third result more than the first two. So Google is doing that, right? And learning from that. Facebook is recommending a person you did not connect. That means it is learning that that was a bad suggestion, right? So all these products are learning over time. And that is what we have mastered in the last 20 years. At a very large scale, crowdsource intelligence is what we have mastered and improved these products. Where are we going next in the next 20 years? Is we are going to see a rise of what we call, uh, ecosystem products. So the idea there is, if you think of a product as a smart city, as a single product, right? Instead of individual components, if we see the whole city as a product, if we see the old telecom network as a single product, not the components, just the whole network. If we see the entire refinery or an entire manufacturing industry unit as a product, if we don't see a drone as a product, but the entire agriculture ecosystem of a country or a state as a product, right? If we think of entire healthcare ecosystem as a product, not just a medicine or a syringe or a doctor, but the whole thing. And examples of what complex ecosystems. Today, we don't have an operating system to deal with such complexity. We are building point solutions to run the water differently, sewage differently, this differently. Similarly, we are building point solutions in agriculture, in healthcare, but we are not thinking of the whole, which is a very different mindset. And I think the future of data science, future of technology is not about building components, but it's about designing operating systems for these things, right? So we understand that a phone has an operating system, a TV has an operating system, a cloud has an operating system, but we need to think about domain operating systems for all these domains. And that is the next big skill that we are teaching at Geo Institute. How do you become operating system thinkers top down as much as bottom up? So you should know how to do bottom-up data science, but you should also know how to think about top-down data science, right? What does that mean? So the scope of this mindset is very vast. If you think about where any country is going, India is going, we need to upgrade ourselves to the next level, right? We have done electrification, mechanization, but still we are not doing automation completely. We are not doing AI completely. We are not doing integration completely. So the scope, what will take India to the next level, AIification of Bharat, really means AIification of all these verticals. And how do we get there? What is that mindset that will take us? ChatGPT will not take us to where we want to go. It will give us information, it will make us productive, but we need a very different mindset to get to this level of complexity. Similarly, all the business functions, right? Across industries, if you look at, these are complex systems. And obviously, in the context of a country, if you think about all the social sectors of a country, right? Look at our legal system. Look at the properties and buying and selling and the physical paperwork that happens instead of digital, right? Payments we have mastered. Still a lot of fraud is happening on UPI, right? Taxation is still a manual work. E-governance is great. We have done a lot of things and a lot more is possible, right? The intelligence community raw, how does that work and gather information, right? How does our defense work? You have seen an example of what an integrated war looks like, right? The radars are there, the ships are there, the missiles are there, the drones are there. Everything works like an integrated single system, right? And that is what is amazing about integration mindset, right? Um, our roadways, railways, airline. So this is the scope of work. People say, losing jobs, losing job. I'm saying we need 10x more people to work across these domains to fix them, bring automation, bring intelligence, and bring integration in all these areas, right? That is when Bharat will grow to the next level in the economy. And that's what everybody is interested in. But the how of it is not clear. We are thinking that GenAI will solve the problems. We are thinking that more teacher training will improve education, right? We are thinking that more hospitals will take care of all the patients. We are not reimagining these systems differently. Yeah? So let's first talk about why they are complex systems, right? They are complex because of many reasons. All the things that we talked about just now, we have a large number of entities in each of them, right? Any ecosystem is made up of nouns, the entities, right? So if you look at telecom, we have customer, tower, antenna, grid, SIM card, devices, fiber. So many entities are coming together to make that ecosystem. Then you have so many interactions happening all the time, right? If you think about retail, somebody's searching, somebody's ordering, somebody's delivering, somebody's updating the prices, somebody's running a campaign. All these things are happening simultaneously in a complex system, right? If you look at the data complexity, healthcare, for example, healthcare is not a simple system from a data point of view, right? You have your ECG data, which is time series. You have your blood reports, which is transactions. You have your audio data, like a cough kind of data or a stethoscope. You have text data, which is written reports. You have images like X-ray, MRI, and all that. You have gene sequences. So you have all variety of data, and that is what makes healthcare complex, right? And now you're ready to build the next generation healthcare where you don't even solve the current problem, you predict the next problem using all the historical data. That is what reimagining healthcare would mean, right? Similarly, these complex systems are complex because of complexity or interaction of their metrics, right? So what you do on operationally on the ground affects your customer experience, and customer experience affects your business profitability. So these metrics are highly interconnected to each other, and that is what makes them complex, right? You're making many decisions at the same time. Like a farmer has to make many decisions, right? What to grow, when to grow, how to do irrigation, everything every day, where to sell, and how much to sell for. Many decisions make up a ecosystem. And we're going to talk about lots of workflows, right? So I hope you are able to feel that so far you've been thinking about AI as what? Let's build some model, put it on Kaggle and do a competition. Let's build one model for this, one model for that. What I'm talking about is, let's not think about models as AI. Think about AI as something that will overarchingly tame this complexity, and many AI models are going to be needed to get there. Yeah? So let's talk about the taming of this complexity. So what I'll do is I'll now talk about systems and workflows. These are two big ideas that we have realized is a very simple way to think about all this complexity. So a system is like in the airline industry, if you think about a system for buying the tickets, a system for entering the airport, security, DigiYatra, a system for training the pilot, a system for delivering the food in the aircraft, a system for fueling the aircraft, maintaining the aircraft. So a complex system like the airline industry is made up of multiple systems, individual systems. And similarly, our body is made up of 5 systems, right? So systems is a very important way of thinking. This was a missing link. I have taught thousands of data scientists and worked with a lot of them. What is missing in their mindset is not the art of building models. They understand that. But what is missing is this system thinking, right? How do you break down a complex ecosystem? Because that's what the unit of work is Models are not the unit of work anymore. And that shift is necessary in our mindset to be ready for what is coming next, right? So what are the systems, if you think about? One is a system of sensors, anything that collects data, in any domain. So if you think about agriculture domain, healthcare domain, sensors, right? If I look at edtech apps, anything that a student does, right? Plays a video, pauses a video, rewinds a video, watches again, solves a problem, doesn't get it right. Everything is logged. So this is sensor mindset. So we have to develop a very strong sensor mindset about AI. Then system of records. We don't just store what is coming, we also store what we produce internally, and we also store all the decisions we have taken in the past. The whole thing is a system of records. Then we are talking about not one model like ChatGPT doing everything, but we talk about hundreds of models doing something together, and that's a system of intelligence. How do you manage hundreds of models throughout their life cycles is a very complex system, right? Then all the apps and ways of interacting with the business, the driver app in Ola and the customer app in Ola and the dashboards and the knock centers and all that and the customer care. These are all system of interactions, right? How do people interact with the business? Then system of operations. And how do you think about all types of operations that you have to do? Pricing, routing, search results, all of that, right? Digital operations, physical operations. And what is missing is the system of integration. So how do you go directly from data to decisions and back? That mindset is missing. Because, and I'll tell you the story why this is happening. The companies that have invented AI, right? Not invented, but taken AI forward, right? Companies like Google and ChatGPT and Microsoft and Facebook and all that. The FANG companies, they have always worked on point solutions, right? A search engine is a point solution. A ChatGPT is a point solution. Point solution means a microservice where you put something and you get something out. So they have developed a mindset that everything is a point solution and a human will trigger something with a search or a prompt and then something will happen. This is how they have grown up in the last 20 years. But the rest of the world is not about point solutions, right? It's about workflows. And that is what is needed. That mindset has not come to the education system. That mindset has not come to the digital world thinkers, that we need to think about workflows first and not the models first. So this system of integration has to integrate everything together. Yeah. Uh, so when we say system of sensors, I want you to imagine if you want to think about any domain, right? Agriculture, healthcare, whatever. First, we have to think about the sensors in that domain, right? So there are many sensors in every domain. Instrumentation means the device is not a sensor by itself, but it has sensors inside it. Like your phone has sensors, our cars have sensors and all that. So these are called instrumentations, right? Then we have transaction data. Every time you make a purchase, you generate data. Every time you make a phone call, you generate data. Every time you post something on LinkedIn, you generate data. So all this is transactions are also sensors in the sense because this is also generating data. Images and videos, audios, social media, rich source of data, all of that, right? So these are all sensors around us and we can look at them. And feedback is also a type of sensor, right? Ratings, reviews, and all that. Then system of records. What do you store? You store the static knowledge, like where are all my cell towers? What is the product catalog? Where are all the stores? Which driver is associated with which car? This is static knowledge of the domain. Then we store all the transaction data. Every money transaction, every cab ride, every Zomato order, every banking transaction is stored. So this is the live transaction data, right? All the sensors, the IoT sensor, the satellite, the videos, all of that, the content that it creates, all the features we engineer in the middle, all the output of AI models are also data, all the decisions we take, all the metrics, and then all the feedback, right? So this is the system of records, and we need to be able to store all that. So let me give you an example of features. So let's say I'm running a retail business and I have a bunch of transactions going on, right? What did you search? What did you order? What did you pay for? What customer care call? What did you return? And I have all the sensors in the sense I know how you rated products. Did you take this campaign click or not? Based on all that, what do I do first is not directly I do something, but first I build understanding of the customer, right? And I say, this is customer 360. Each customer, what categories you like, what brands you like, what attributes you like within the shirt brand. So I build a profile of them. Now, the same thing I can do in agriculture, same thing I can do in education, same thing I can do in healthcare. I build a state of something. We talked about state and actions. So this is about building the state of something. And then we use that state to do actions. So if customer A who likes this brand, this color, this style, versus customer B who likes this brand, this color, this style, if they are both doing a search for men's shirt, then they should be seeing different results, right? And that is what intelligence does. So now we understand that what you buy and search collects raw data. Using that, we create your profile. That becomes your state, what you like, what you don't like. And then we orchestrate that in terms of actions like personalizing your search, right? Now, I'm going to dive a little bit into the system of intelligence because that is what the theme is. Um, so when I think about AI, right, I think about two aspects. One is the life cycle of a model, right? How do you design a new model? What should be the architecture? How do you train a model, right? Learning rate, parameters. How do you govern a model, make sure it is not doing the wrong things, violating privacy and all that? How do you benchmark a model against the previous model that you are using? How do you deploy the model in the cloud, in the telecom network, in the devices? And how do you monitor the model and say, when is it going to be needing a upgrade? So there's a whole life cycle management idea, and then the variety of models that are there, right? So we are dealing with wide variety of models and a life cycle management of these models. This whole thing is your system of intelligence, right? Uh, at the India level, this is what I think, is one of the things we need to think about is if I go backward from right to left, right? So we have many sectors in the country, right? We talked about all the sectors earlier. If I take a sector like healthcare, there are many beneficiaries in that sector, right? Who is going to consume healthcare? Insurance company, government, NGO, policymakers, doctors, everyone, patients. Now, within hospital, there are many applications that are running, right? Applications are running for pharmacy, for doctor appointment, for labs. Many applications and products are there within the hospital ecosystem. And they are going to need a lot of services of all types, right? User-centric, content-centric, software services, AI services. And within AI services, there are a lot of services of various types. This is the scope of work. I want you to think why we are talking about AI at a Bharat scale is this is the scope of work. There are so many verticals and so many AI capabilities have to be built across India. The question is who is going to build all this? How are we going to organize ourselves to get there, right? So recently, India AI Mission released a very fantastic AI Kosh, which is a lot of data sets from across different domains, different data types are available there. And one of the things we want to do is make sure we understand the power of that data, what all we can do, and we can build a lot of models with that. But building models is not enough. So let me give you an example of how we think about bridging the gap between producers of AI and consumers of AI, right? So let's think of this app. So let's say we have built an app called Machli app. What it does
What's your phone number?
Is, it gives guidance to the fishermen of India across all the coastal states, what to do, where to go and all that, right? Weather warning. Now notice that whenever we press the button for English language, it says, what's your phone number? But when we press the button for Telugu, Tamil, it doesn't say anything, right? It's not speech enabled. So this guy is a consumer of AI. he wants a text-to-speech model in all the coastal languages of India, but he's not a speech expert. Now I want you to imagine that somewhere else in the country, somebody comes up and he's a professor at IIIT Hyderabad or whatever, and he has built a great Telugu text-to-speech model. That's what his specialty is. And all he has to do is upload that model on this portal. And this guy doesn't know anything about that app. And suddenly what happens? Me phone number. The app becomes speech enabled because somebody on one side produced an AI model which somebody else is able to consume without knowing that these two people exist. And this is what we call a marketplace, right? If you think about what is Ola, Uber, it's a marketplace. It connects the drivers with the customers. If you think about Swiggy, Zomato, it's a marketplace. It connects restaurants with the foodies. So similarly, we need a notion of an AI marketplace. And the reason this works is because on one side, you have all the products that are going to need AI, right? You can be building all kinds of products, but you are not an AI expert, but you need AI. So what do? Imagine we create a bunch of AI APIs for computer vision APIs, speech APIs, and all that, standardize them. So the consumers of AI on the top can use them in a very standard format. And then the producers of AI on the bottom can come in and build a model and put them in the system behind an API. So API 1, 2, 3, each API, like the speech one, if there was no model, there was no text-to-speech happening. But suddenly somebody uploaded a model and now the model is available. And now that becomes the model that powers the API, right? So now imagine competition can be created, monetization can be created. And for me, this is one of the most important DPIs to be built in the country. We have already started with the AI Kosh. The data is now organized properly. The next platform that the country needs to build is a marketplace like that. So anybody can contribute models and monetize their innovations, and anybody can build applications on top of it. This is going to really accelerate the country's economy in the new world. Yeah. So that was system of intelligence, right? Then system of interactions. If you see how we are interacting with the systems, right? Very gory interactions followed by conversational, followed by speech first. And speech is very important for India. And that's why, we have a lot of initiatives going on. Why is speech important for India? We have to understand that, right? And Dr. Kalam gave a very nice keynote in Hyderabad in 2011 in a very important conference, World Wide Web 2011 conference. He was a keynote. And he said something very important. He challenged everybody in the room. This is a very international conference, first time happening in India. He said, look, the future interactions between the digital world and the physical world has to become as seamless. The way I talk to a person is the way I should talk to a AI system or to a product. And he said that 5 years before Siri came to the market. And he recognized the importance of speech-first interfaces because that is what is going to bring the rest of Bharat onto the digital bandwagon, right? So interactions and interfaces are going to become very important. And today we have hundreds of projects going on across our research labs, across the country, across government, across industries, Google's to startups, to servums, AI everywhere. We're talking about speech first across 22 Indian languages, across all. So that is a system of interaction for the future of AI. Last system is system of integration. And I want to give you a sense of this integration mindset, right? Today, we don't think like this. We think at a box level, how to build one model great. That is fine. That is what ChatGPT can do for you. But now we need to think at a different level. So integration is a mindset that we want to think about. So here are a few examples. So one example is, let's say in Reliance, we are running a grocery business. So I can learn about a customer based on what you buy, atta, dal, all that. Then we have a digital business, selling iPhones and all that. And then we have a fashion business selling clothing and all that. And now I have, if I stay in my silos, I will only have these three views independent of each other for a customer. But I can blend that and create a very broader view of a customer. Similarly, if I have media properties like song, movie, and TV, I can build a media 360. And now I can blend all that to create a customer 360. You see, the power of integrating different silos together is one notion of integration. And now what can happen? I can now say that if you like bhajans, you are going to like kurta pajamas in the fashion world, right? So I can now connect across the domains and give you much better insights than what we have before that. Another example of integration mindset is, if I think about, within India, within Asia, Jamnagar is the largest refinery where we produce almost 5% of all the fuel that, the world needs. And now, that is a very complex system, a very complex refinery. It is made up of 250 different units, and we are able to optimize each unit independently, but we are not able to optimize the entire refinery because it's a very complex problem to solve. So this is another moonshot that we are trying to work on and saying, how do we now do a joint optimization with a digital twin of every unit and the whole refinery and use whatever technologies to optimize this. Yeah. So we understand these ideas of integration. Now let's go to the workflow mindset. So in the airline industry, we talked about the individual systems, but what is the workflow is each passenger, right? So if you think about a passenger who is booking a flight using one system, entering the airport in one system, baggage check-in handling is one system, and then he's taking all the systems, touching all the systems to get the job done. That is a workflow. So we understand workflows are the horizontal things that require many systems to participate. So we'll keep harping on that. Now, if I look at any industry, whether it's a social sector or an industrial sector, it needs only so many types of workflows. So one is what we call execution workflow, right? Get the job done as prescribed. Somebody ordered, do this, do this, do this, right? Kharif season has come. The farmer has to do this 20 things to get the crop going. Then there are exceptions that happen, right? There is a pest problem, or in HR world, somebody quit the job, or in the healthcare world, somebody fell sick, or the medicines are out because of too much demand. So exceptions can happen all the time. So a good AI system should be able to predict exceptions and do something about it, right? So the terrorist attacks that happen is an example of an exception in the security apparatus of the country, right? How do you deal with exceptions? How do you predict such a thing using all the intelligence and make sure it doesn't happen? Yeah. Then expansion workflows. How do we know what new weapons to buy and build? What are the new theaters of war? How do we know where to put the next cell tower or the next cloud kitchen, or which feature to add to the app? So expansion is a continuous process. Can AI help there, right? Then efficiency workflow. How do we know that our Ola Uber system is efficient? Our war machinery is efficient. Our schooling system is efficient. What does the efficiency mean in all these things? And how do we track it and improve it? Yeah. And then how do we explain all this? Root cause analysis will become a very important theme in the future, right? Customer care call comes, you have to analyze the root cause, fix the problem. It shouldn't take more than a few seconds if all the systems were integrated. But today it takes a long time. Yeah? And then evolution workflows, how do you improve all the AI models? So let's take some examples of these. Exception workflow, right? It's a very important mindset, right? Security mindset, cyber security mindset, healthcare mindset. It's all about exception management, right? Running an operation, exceptions happen all the time. So the idea is monitor everything, discover what needs attention. That is very important. Discover what needs attention. Suddenly the, certain crop is starting to fail in some part of Punjab, and that immediately has to be flagged because it could be a pest problem or a big problem coming up. So how do you discover what needs attention, right? And then what is the root cause? What can you do about it? And execute, and then measure impact, and finally learn from it. So it's an example of a typical exception workflow. I can apply this in education, monitor everything about a child, discover what needs attention, analyze root cause, fix the problem, right? I can do it in healthcare, in every domain. So expansion workflows, right? New customer acquisition, infrastructure growth, where to put the next cell tower, market expansion, new products, new content acquisition in Netflix and all that. In education world, new content creation, assortment and all that. Similarly, efficiency workflow. How do you inventory optimization of fertilizers across the country? Inventory optimization of medicines across the country, right? All that. Today, it is done in a very bottom-up ad hoc manner using Excel spreadsheets and things, but AI can really do this at a much better level, right? Resource utilization of our doctors, of our farmers, of our equipments, of our satellites. How do you think about resource optimization? Scheduling, process optimization. So these are all examples that we talk about in Geo Institute in terms of how do we create a new breed of students who can think in this way and say, what are the systems? What are the workflows? How do I transform this sector instead of thinking, how do I build a model versus how do I transform a sector? So that is what the new skill set is. And that's what we train people for, right? So here's some examples of a workflow mindset. So imagine today, we have cameras everywhere. Still, crimes are happening all the time. And what we need is a smarter city with a more security. So how do we think about this problem? It's not just an AI problem. It's an end-to-end system thinking problem, right? So you can say that, oh, all videos are coming continuously. We should detect action. Is it a harmful action, normal action? And then raise an alarm, use our digital face database to detect the perpetrator, notify authority and victim, and notify family. Imagine if we can do this, then, all the incidents of violence that is happening will stop because we are immediately raising an alarm. Camera is not just a dumb camera that is only collecting data. It's actually an intelligent camera. It is able to do stuff and trigger a workflow. So couple of things to notice, right? This is a workflow. This workflow has system of sensors, which is the camera. It has a system of intelligence like detect action, detect faces. It has a system of operations like raise an alarm, notify authority. And what I've done is I've created a new way of thinking about it, which is functions and events. What are the functions? Functions can be AI functions, sensor functions, operation functions and all that, and events like, how do you define events and all that, right? So the mindset here is how do you go directly from sensor to action because there are no people on the ground to look at this. Yeah? Another mindset we need to develop is a operating system mindset. So when people ask me, Sharish, what do you do at Reliance? I say I'm not building models for this and models for that. That is a solved problem because, we have Azure and, MLOps and everything. That part of the world has been automated quite a bit. But what is missing is the top-down operating system thinking, right? What does it mean? So let's take retail as an example. What are the different workflows in retail? So the one workflow is to collect orders from various sources. Another workflow is to build demand forecasting system. Another workflow is to do allocation and say which product should be delivered from which warehouse to which customer based on forecasted demand and current inventory levels. And then we have another workflow that is saying, how do I build your profile, men's shirt and all that? And how do you personalize your search and your homepage experience? And finally, we need one more workflow to do replenishment of our stores with the products. So what have I done? I'm not doing AI in isolation anymore. I'm doing AI in the context of the overall operating system of that domain. And this is the new skill we teach our students. how to think about workflows, how to break down the problem, how to identify opportunities of intelligence, the role of databases, the role of operations, the role of event-based architectures to execute such operating systems, right? And that is the new skill. Humans have to grow from being builders in Python to designers. We have to design these complex systems. Like in a house, the architect who designs the house gets paid more. Builder who builds the house is the secondary job. Anybody can build. It's the architect that is important. So we are looking for students and visionaries who can think about these domains and say, I'm going to architect all the workflows of agriculture and I'm going to take a lead in developing some of them. That is the kind of mindset we need to transform, Bharat as a AI first nation. Yeah. So this is what I call the operating system mindset, which is how do you not think about one model here, one model there? How do you think about the whole thing, right? So now if I look at where we are, right, these are complex systems. The government is funding hundreds and thousands of startups in every area. Companies have built a very complex thing, the banking and the manufacturing, all the sectors. So what has happened is because there was no operating system mindset, and because we were dealing with and because we had many, many workflows to work with, what did the CIOs, CTOs do? They basically went to vendors to bring more point solutions for the next problem they had to solve, right? So like in retail, for example, if you have one system for order management and collecting the orders, another system to do inventory management, and now an army of people is sitting downloading an Excel from one system, order management, uploading it to inventory management, and then downloading the routing and allocation, uploading it to delivery management, then you have a broken system, right? It's not integrated end to end. This is the real problem that we are facing in industry. This is the real problem we are facing in the country, that we are building great point solutions. There are 100 startups today in India who are doing satellite to crop prediction problem. Another 100 are doing soil IoT. Another 100 startups are doing X-ray to some prediction. We are all building very nice point solutions, but there is no integration of all that to create an operating system. Hope this is the message that you take back, that we need to go from a digital slum mindset of non-interoperable point solutions to a streamlined operating system, right? And that is the journey that if India can take, if you look at Saudi Arab and UAE and Middle Eastern countries, they are very ahead in the systems thinking, right? They have very large AI programs. Every ministry in Dubai has a AI division and they're working on it, right? And they're thinking systematically about it. Look at smart city creation for example, Singapore, right? They think systematically about it in a top-down manner. We have to start doing that. We cannot just fund 1,000 startups and hope agriculture will change. It will not change because we are not building the operating system for it, right? So what does it mean? I'm going to skip this slide so we can cover more. But the idea is that imagine that once and for all you recognize all the things that you need in a healthcare world, and you build the super apps for that, or in the agriculture world or in the education world, and you build a core Bharat operating system that runs these workflows. It doesn't understand the workflows. It's an execution layer, event-based architectures, and pushing events through the system. But it's the healthcare events and driving healthcare workflows. It becomes a healthcare operating system, right? And then everybody can use it on top. This is the future as I see it, how India can progress and become because otherwise we are repeating the same thing over and over again. There are only so many workflows in a domain. If we master them and finish them off, it's a one-time activity. Yeah. So now let's take some examples. Again, I'm going to use the word reimagine. So reimagine agriculture in the new world. as if it was born today. How would it do it differently, right? So, so here's the operating system mindset, right? So you think about what are the input events in agriculture, right? Satellite event, farmer is taking a picture, mandi prices of crops are changing, soil IoT data is generating something every day, drones are running around capturing data, right? Weather events are coming. So think about the input events. Think about the agriculture digital twin of every farm, right? And say, I know the farm, every farm in India, polygon of it, GPS of it, the weather of it, the soil of it, the soil type and all that, what is growing. I have a digital twin of every farm in the country, right? Then we have all the AI models we need for agriculture, right? The irrigation advisory model, the satellite models, the supply chain models. Then we have all the agriculture knowledge base. Today it is stuck in the textbooks, but now it is digitized. Somebody needs to digitize all that and say, this crop needs this nutrition at this stage. That knowledge has to be there, right? In a digital format. And then all the agriculture content. So we have Krishi Darshan content. Somebody has to organize that content by language, by crop, by type of content and all that. And we can generate new content with Gen AI. And then we produce on a real-time basis in an integrated architecture all the advisory. So every farmer gets a daily advisory, government gets an advisory on import, export of stuff. Dashboards are created for what is coming in the next few weeks, months, across India, across districts and state. All that should happen, right? So see how an operating system of agriculture is the need of the hour. And all these startups working on different parts of this can integrate into the operating system. And that is what, this is what the internet has done. It created a TCP/IP based operating system. This is what 5G, 6G has done. It has a protocol, and now everybody can build on top of it, right? So some examples of workflow. Let me play a small audio. So this is an example of what India
हेलो
needs.
रिलायंस फाउंडेशन।
Hopefully you can
जी
hear
सर, मैं
this.
आपसे सोयाबीन के बारे में पूछना चाहता हूँ सर। मैं
इट्स
हाँ
ऑडिबल।
चाहिए जानकारी। एक बार नाम बता दें। सर मेरा नाम बसंत कुमार पटेल है सर। मैं बोरखेड़ा का रहने वाला हूँ सर, तहसील आस्था, जिला सीहोर। अच्छा अच्छा, बताइए बसंत जी, क्या जानकारी चाहिए? सर हमको सोयाबीन की बोवनी के लिए बीज उपचारित करने की टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए सर।
So you understand, this is the kind of conversation that is happening between farmers and agriculture hotlines, and we are not able to scale, right? Reliance Foundation, Tech Mahindra, whatever. There are many foundations who have opened up these kind of lines, but the call is to money. And see what he's asking. He's asking a very specific question, right? Soybean ki boni ke liye technology chahiye, right? A mixed language. So this is what we need to build. Now, if I throw this as a moonshot problem for the country, what is the skill set we need to develop? Right? We need to first think about the workflow. What workflow will I design to solve this problem? So you'll say, okay, farmer is calling. What is the first thing I need to do? I need to be able to convert speech in any language into text, then convert text into intent, and say, this is what this farmer is asking. I need an AI-based agriculture expert who is going to have this conversation instead of a human. I'm going to need a digital way of storing all the domain knowledge of agriculture. Then I need the farmer profile based on the GPS stored somewhere. Then I need all the sensor data for that area, satellite, weather, soil IoT. Then the AI expert can answer that question and say, this is what you need to do. Here is a video you need to watch. And by the way, I'm sending the fertilizer or the seed to you also. This is the new skill. The new skill is not, can I build a great text-to-speech model? Yes, that was a skill 5 years ago. Today it has been automated. It is commodity. You go to Hugging Face, you can download the model. You go to Sarvam AI, you can download the model. So that is not a skill anymore. We understand that, right? But putting together a workflow, thinking about the system of intelligence here, right? The speech models, text models, the AI expert. This is system of intelligence. What is system of records here? So if you think about the agriculture static knowledge and the dynamic farm profile is the system of records. And if you think about the system of sensors and then the system of uh, operations. When you put all these systems together, you create a workflow. So what we need now more and more is the workflow thinkers, right? And, this is personalization and contextualization of response. So instead of a farmer watching a Krishi Darshan program, now he has an AI expert next to him who is able to do this every day, right? So from our point of view as a learning institute, we need to develop workflow mindset. How do we not think in terms of models, but think in terms of workflows? Workflows are the unit, not the models. Yeah? Another example in agriculture. Now imagine a farmer, instead of speaking to a hotline, they're taking a picture of a crop. Another AI model is saying what crop it is, what stage it is. Another AI model is saying, is there a problem? Is it a stress problem? Therefore, I should give irrigation advisory based on the farm and the projection of rain tomorrow. And I can turn on the tube well also to the actuators there. Similarly, I can do nutrition advisory, pest advisory, and all. Now imagine all this is happening with a click of a photo. Notice there is no LLM, there is no ChatGPT. An image triggering a workflow, ending up in a type of stress, triggering another workflow, what to do about it. Now imagine satellite data is coming and you can do this, or drones are running around in the villages. All you need is 3-4 drones per village. What they do, they go around, take the state of the crops, the soil IoT is there, satellite is there, all the data is sent to a local server, it analyzes everything and gives another drone instruction. Water this plant, put pesticide here, put this fertilizer there. Those operations come out, other drones rise up and start doing it, right? So we have seen the power of drones in warfare. Now we are going to see the power of drones in agriculture. This is what I mean by reimagine agriculture, right? Reimagine Bharat means reimagine all the domains. So can we think like this? We have the point solutions. What is missing is the art of integrating all of that, right? And this is part of the integration mindset. So we are not solving for accuracy anymore. We are solving for interoperability. Startup 1 gave me one model. Startup 2 gave me another model. They are not able to talk to each other because their output is not consumable by the input of the other guy. So what do we need? We need standardization, interoperability. That is the key to integration. That is the key to workflow. That is the key to operating systems. Yeah. Education, we are all a victim of a very great education system, but now I want to reimagine education. What do I do? So again, think about all the events in education, right? So think of a digital education and a physical education together. So now you have all the events coming in education, right? Content event, somebody consumed a content, somebody did an assessment, some kid asked for a hint. All this is logged, right? Like the Amazon is logging every click of a user, Netflix is logging everything. Why is education not logging anything? We're not logging anything. We are just doing homework in a notebook and we are done. It's an amazing amount of data. We need to think of education differently, right? Every kid doing homeworks and classrooms and everything, generating a lot of data. What is the digital twin of a student? What does he know? What does he not know today? What are the AI models? What are the, knowledge base of education? Which concept is a prerequisite of which concept? And all the content in all languages for all topics at all levels is available or can be generated on the fly. And then the education operating system can give advisory. Every child should learn something unique that they are ready to learn today. They should learn from a content that is best suited for them, right? The homework they get is different than the other child, right? The practice is different. So we can highly personalize education the way we have personalized other things. So here's how it will look like. So given a concept and given a student ID, here is a state mindset, right? The student is not ready to learn the concept because he has not mastered the prerequisites. Once he's ready, because he has suddenly mastered the prerequisites, all of them, then he learns with content, best content in the world by the best teachers, right? Even, Einstein could be teaching physics to you because we can have an avatar and a Gen AI model for that, right? Then you get the right practice at your pace, simple to hard. If you're not able to do, go back to learning, go back to assessment if you've done practice. If you're not succeeded, again, go back. And you do mastery learning. And mastery learning is the key to education. We cannot keep promoting students from grade 5 to 6 to 7 at a 60% passing marks. 60% is not mastery learning, right? And today we do that. That's why we are all struggling. We don't have prerequisites, we don't have foundations, we are moving ahead, right? And that's why, the government is releasing reports on how our college graduates are not job ready, how industry is saying we are not able to find job ready students. We are mass producing students, but we are not producing them job ready. The foundation problem is mastery learning is not happening. Can AI help with mastery learning at all levels, right? And now the kid can teach and learn and then, all that, right? So this is another kind of a workflow. Think of a state of a student through a concept, and how does a state finish to trigger another state is a new kind of a skill we have to develop, right? So for example, student A is ready to learn, he knows concept P very well, Q medium and R very low, and he is ready to learn concept X versus student B, who is ready to learn concept Y, and all that, right? So personalized education can happen. In the future, I'm imagining hybrid schools where students who are very similar to each other will be put in a section. Teacher knows exactly what to teach to them, gives them the right homework, automatically AI will take care of it, and the schools will become hybrid school, digital physical schools. This is what I mean by reimagining education, for example, right? Similarly, we can do reimagining healthcare in terms of what are the symptoms, input events, what are the models, what are the output advisories, and so on, right? So this is a framework that we teach, and now our students are able to think at this level and do all that, right? Again, I won't go too much, but healthcare is a very large ecosystem, lots of AI models to be built. And now you can think about, a lot of people in India don't have access to good doctors. Can AI solve that problem? Right? So now imagine AI is doing preclinical diagnosis. A doctor is curating that. AI is generating investigation, what test to do. A doctor is super doing that. Then AI is generating the post-clinical diagnosis, the final diagnosis. Doctor is looking at that. And then AI is generating a prescription. Doctor is looking at that. This, every orange AI box followed by a green doctor human box is called augmented intelligence, right? And that's a new world we are going to move to, where humans will not be creators of anything. We'll be curators of everything. AI will create the report, X-ray report. A radiologist will curate that report, right? AI will create the diagnosis. Doctor will curate the diagnosis. So that's a new world. And let me not go into that. But the idea is now imagine you can tell me what your symptoms are. I can ask you follow-up questions. Where are your symptoms? And ask you more follow-up question based on what AI thinks. And then AI can do a diagnosis, right? And now if it's a life and death situation, we can send an ambulance or connect you to a real doctor immediately, book an appointment tomorrow, or give you a home remedy. So see how AI doctor will, take care of a lot of things that a human doctor does. Okay, so let me now conclude. I think we are out of time. So let me conclude. Let me not worry about this. I'm going to now, finally conclude. So how do we get there, right? So all this complexity we have to build, we need to think about how we transform every domain, healthcare, agriculture, education, e-governance, from manual to digitized to automated to intelligent to integrated. How do we think about workflows? What are the metrics? What are the decisions and all that? Therefore, what data I need? How do I think about our intelligence journey, right? Are we just looking at dashboards or building predictive models AI models, proactive or ecosystem intelligence, the whole thing that we talked about, right? And then what is the new mindset? Should we think bottom up forever, right? Build one solution here, one use case there, or should we think of integration first and then improve everything backwards, right? So that will take us, because like human life did not evolve without amoeba as an integrated product coming together first. Once amoeba came, then the rest of the life evolved. So integration mindset is very important. Yeah. Okay. So let me stop here. We can take a few questions. And hopefully you gain some more perspective. At Geo Institute, we are taking AI education to the next level. As you can see, any questions about Geo Institute, but Tarun can answer. You're welcome to apply, participate, visit the campus, talk to faculty, get to learn about how we are doing it differently. And we are also participating in the national movement of uplifting India with AI. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We have few questions that we would request you to take. We have answered most of the questions which were related to admissions parallelly as
Okay.
they were coming up.
Yeah.
Of course, there are quite a lot of people have just sent a appreciation to you, saying
Okay.
that this session is very helpful for them.
Thank
Uh,
you. Yeah.
we also would like to inform everyone here that we are launching our admissions to the full-time postgraduate program on 1st of July. And we are concluding with the admissions of our ongoing Tech Track program, which is for undergraduates and early working professionals and postgraduate students. This program starts on 23rd of June for 1 week program. So you can please use these details for the time being. Sir is answering the questions. So we have displayed this information because a lot of questions were also asking the email IDs and contact details. So we have just displayed it here. So I'll just ask the questions that are there.
Yeah.
First question is, how do we ensure the data security from the AI tools, and what if data breach happens?
Yeah, this is a very important problem. This is actually a big headache for everyone, right? So today, it all started. You remember WikiLeaks, for example. All the bank CIOs are worried about all the personal, credit card information. Aadhaar system is worried about leaking of that data. So it's a very good question. And the way AI systems are to be built is that as soon as data comes in, we need to make sure that it is obfuscated. All the PII information is removed, an ID is created, and now the rest of the data is with that ID. So even if somebody breaches and gets access to that data, they don't know who this data belongs to. So as long as we can decouple identity and behavior, right? The data's PII information and the behavior data, we have some sense of what we can do, right? And, privacy is a very, very important topic. We have a whole course on AI ethics where we talk about privacy, fairness, and all that issues. And, cybersecurity has to look at it differently. AI world has to look at, data breaches differently, and everybody has to become data aware, right? And in terms of hacks and all that is happening. So very good question. Um,
So should we take next question?
yes, please. Yeah, yeah.
So next question is the AI marketplace a concept currently, or some infra is planned or in progress?
Yeah. So it is something that, I've been trying to see where to build it, because it's not something that belongs to a company, right? It's a national asset. And we are talking to the government, the National AI India mission to launch an AI marketplace like this. And, we are seeing some progress there. But still, today we are slightly distracted by this whole Gen AI movement, and everybody is focused on that. Every startup is an agentic and LLM startup. We are not thinking about the bigger infrastructures like AI marketplace. So I think it's important that we build it, and it's important that the government takes ownership of that. Yeah, we have built a version of it internally, but we want to create a version elsewhere, which like a Geo Institute could build one and launch it for the country. But like Hugging Face transformed how people were able to, discover models, use models. So think of AI Marketplace as the next version of Hugging Face in terms of easily deployable things without technical knowledge also, you should be able to do it. But it's a work in progress and hopefully we'll see some announcements later.
So next question is an interesting challenge in integrating where data is money. What could be the motivation to share?
This is a very good question. Again, what has happened is, if you look at what were the pivotal moments in the growth of AI, the pivotal moments were, the first pivotal moment 20 years ago was when, UC Irvine, the university created a dataset repository that everybody could use. And that's what started the first wave of data. Then data sharing. Then Kaggle came and companies realized that, no, not Kaggle, Netflix competition came. So Netflix launched a $1 million prize to improve their recommendation engine. That created a huge buzz in the whole world. And they removed the PII information, launched the data set. Everybody across the world started working on it. And for almost a year, people were so obsessed with that. So again, some company decides to share data, creates a revolution. That started the whole Kaggle movement. And now many companies are sharing their data in a public domain way because they realize that they cannot solve the problems themselves. So they need, they need others to solve their problems, and they launch competition. So Kaggle is an important thing. AI Kosh that we talked about, AI India mission has launched data sets, which are publicly available data sets, but organized in a very nice way. So they cover all the domains. So without access to data, we cannot do AI, right? Now, obviously, there are breaches like, OpenAI would download copyrighted data and build a model with that. So there are issues like that that we have to nail down. And therefore, data is money. New regulations have to come that if OpenAI has used a creator's data like Ghibli images or whatever to train the model, they must be compensated. So new frameworks on data and monetization of data will emerge because that itself is a very interesting problem. Yeah. But you're right. I think we need a way to monetize data. If you have collected a lot of data that you want to sell for the purpose of research and innovation, there should be a mechanism for that. So that is one motivation, and improving the world and the systems and building AI is another motivation. Yeah.
So
Okay.
next question is end users of AI products is in many segments. Still, they are hesitant to spend on products of healthcare in AI. What could be the reason, and what time frame we see India market to frequently use AI products in healthcare?
Yeah, so I think there are multiple dimensions to adopting a new technology, right? I mean, first is a trust issue. So healthcare is a very trust business, right? And you can trust a human doctor a lot more than a technology. So right now that mindset has to happen. People should build trust into the AI system. That is one area. Second is the privacy concerns and all of that, right? So if an AI product is collecting data on you and there is no transparency on how it is being used, are you selling it to an insurance company or whatever, then there's a little bit of concern on that front. So people are doing that. The third is the inertia in the system. Inertia means, if we are used to of an old way of doing things, right? The doctors are used to doing things their way, patients their way, nurses their way, there is an inertia to change. And that has to be overcome. We have to show value. And fourth is the prices of the products have to come down. See, we are used to of digital equal to free mindset, right? Nobody pays for YouTube, nobody pays for search, nobody is willing to pay for GPT. We want digital things to be cheaper and free. That mindset has to go away, right? A lot of work has gone into building these AI models, cloud cost, this and that. I think the world should be able to say, look, I pay for pizza 500 rupees. Why can't I pay for healthcare apps, right? So I think all these things, it's a culture shift in the world that will suddenly make this happen. But it is coming, right? We cannot scale without that. We cannot provide great doctors to every tier 2, tier 3 city and village in the country. There is no other option but to scale human intelligence, human expertise to the masses, and AIification of these verticals is the only way. Once we overcome all these regulatory frameworks are not ready yet, right? For healthcare, the standardization of healthcare is happening, the FHIR format and all that. So lab results and hospitals and everybody can exchange. All these things are happening simultaneously, and suddenly we'll see, like suddenly one day monetization happened and demonetization happened, and we were a digital economy. Obviously not that drastically, but slowly we are getting there. Yeah.
So next question is, given the AIs are learning from LLMs, data sets of existing information, how accurate is it to say that AI is really thinking instead of saying that AI is memorizing and synthesizing existing information?
I completely agree, right? I'm on your side. You know, this hype that recently Apple wrote a paper on why, AI, the LLMs are not a thinking machine, they are a generation machine. And they're not just a generation machine in the traditional sense of how humans generate, but in a very statistical, what we call a brute force kind of way, right? Billions of parameters, trillions of tokens, right? So much energy, so many GPUs. So it's a brute force approach. And therefore, it is not yet, we are not satisfied that this is the right approach. Something has to happen to this. Suddenly, DeepSeek happened, and we realized 10x less cost, it can be done. It created a wave, right? $1 trillion got lost in the US market. So we're going to see many such corrections. Just brute force way of doing things. It is not at all a thinking system. We are force-fitting ourselves to believe that this is a thinking system. It is not. Thinking is a very different thing. Generation is a very different thing. So you are right. And it's a memorization system at a very large scale. You are right. And slowly we will come up with newer paradigms. And if you have ideas on this, talk to me. I have some ideas on how to decouple the knowledge part of a corpus and the language part of the corpus. And how do you build a better LLM when you do that decoupling? So we have ideas on that. Feel free to get in touch and we can talk more about that. Yeah. But you're right. I think we are far away from what hype is talking about. Yeah.
So we'll take this last question, sir. It asks, how will the reimagine higher education of the country might look like,
Mhm.
especially given the impact on jobs and employment due to AI?
Yes. So I've been having a lot of conversations with edtech startups, principals, school deans, policy makers about it. I think what is going to happen is that what we teach has to evolve, right? We cannot be teaching bottom-up skills, memorization skills, rote learning skills, test-taking skills, quota factories, IIT exam. So we have created an education system which is very exam-oriented education system, right? We have not created an education system which is innovation-oriented education system. So one of the things I'm proposing is that start an education journey by presenting hundreds of moonshots. So I showed you some moonshots, right? Today, how can we build these workflows? Imagine if in the new education system, that is what you learn on the first year. You understand the problem statements, you think at a system level, you do design thinking courses, then you become an innovator first. Then you start learning stuff. So this is the first change I'm seeing, hoping will happen, that education purpose has to evolve and we want to create innovators and thinkers and visionaries, not test takers and job seekers. So today we are a test taker and a job seeker society. So that has to evolve. How we do education has to evolve. mastery learning, curriculum personalization, content personalization. Imagine that AI knows what you don't know. AI understands what kind of learning style you have. AI knows that you are a basketball player, and now it can create a content for you which matches all this, right? It is teaching you quadratic equation with a basketball example at your level of understanding. That is the future of content, not Khan Academy, not Byju's. Static content, one for everyone. So there is a lot of reimagination that has to happen. And we need people who can think like this, build and try systems to lead the way, because India has to produce many Googles and OpenAIs. We have zero right now. And that is one of the pain points. And the next generation, if we keep looking for jobs and saying, let me work on these companies, let me do some small things here and there, we are not going to transform India with that kind of a mindset. We need bold thinkers and visionaries who can think at a bigger level, right? So hopefully that will inspire you to think differently about your future path. Jobs will come and go, but what you will contribute to society will be a long-term thing. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Your sessions are always not only with lot of information, but with lot of inspiration also. Thank you everyone for joining this session. I am sure you would have noted down the contact details given on the screen. You can always reach out to us. We are there to answer all your further queries. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.